Hello and welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is March 29th, Friday, about 4:30 in the afternoon. I think it's going to be a pretty pirate-heavy podcast today. Leah, you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. After
Uh-huh.
yesterday, I'm ready.
Yeah, so yesterday was opening day. The Pirates won in 12 innings, 6-5. They had 3 home runs from Brian Reynolds. That was a 2-run shot. O'Neill Cruz had a home run to tie the game up late in the evening or the day,
Yeah.
eighth inning. And then one more from Edward Olivares. That was a pinch hit home run. So they had 3 home runs on the day. Mitch Keller ended up pitching 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 5 runs total, 5 2/3 innings, I should say. Once he left the game, the bullpen just shut them down. No more runs for the rest of the game for the Marlins. For a while there, it looked like it was going to be a loss, a sad opening day for the Pirates, but they ended up pulling through and getting the win. What were your thoughts on the game when you were watching? What
Yeah.
you got to watch
From
at
what I
least?
yeah, from what I got to watch about, I'd say I think from about the 5th inning on, they I think the score was like 5-2 at one point, and it did look like it might have been a loss. But they pulled through. They the pitching, like you said, towards the end of the game in the last couple innings and into the extra innings. The pitchers that came in, they did a really good job. They got some strikeouts when they needed them, and the players made some double plays when they needed to make them. There seemed to be just a few little errors here and there with, I guess, some of the coaches and the players
Yeah, base
telling
running.
yeah, base running, yeah, but they still were able to pull it off and get a 6-5 win over it was the Marlins. No, not the Marlins. It was the
Yeah,
Marlins, right?
Marlins. Yep. Uh-huh.
Marlins, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it was shaky
yeah,
with the base running there at the end. 3 different guys were thrown out at home, and
yeah.
as you get further in the extra innings with a man on second an away team, you gotta worry when you're not scoring in the top of the
Hmm.
innings each time like they were doing. But the bullpen was just on fire.
Hmm.
Luis Ortiz got 2 innings and 2 innings and extra innings. He pitched
Hmm.
great there, and then they finished him off with the 6-5 win. I think it was an interesting game from the standpoint of if they're going to have a successful season. This game's like a
Hmm.
microcosm of how they're going to win. I think they're going to have shaky starting pitching. I think for a while at least, unless some of these
Hmm.
young guys, these prospects, come up and perform great out of the gate. I don't see that. I mean, Skeens is a different thing, but you're young, you're gonna struggle, you're gonna go through
Hmm.
some growing pains. But other than that, you're gonna expect a lot of home runs, a lot of from this team. If you're gonna get your runs that way, you're gonna strike out a lot, like they did yesterday. I think they ended up with 17 strikeouts.
Wow.
That's a lot of
Wow.
strikeouts.
Yes, it
Um,
is. Yes, it is. Yes,
yeah,
it is.
but they're going to strike out a lot. I think they're going to hit a lot of home runs though, like they did. They had 3 home runs that game, and they're going to rely on this bullpen to be steady the whole way through, which they were last night or
Hmm.
yesterday afternoon, I
Yeah,
guess.
and we discussed in the past, they are the youngest team in the league right now. Is that correct?
That was at the end of last year. That was
Oh,
last
end of
season.
last
So
year. Okay.
yeah. So, but they're still young. Everyone's a year older, but they're still young. They
Okay.
got a few more vets, but they lost a couple of vets also. So it's probably about the
Okay.
same, but a year older for the younger guys.
Yeah, and it's gonna take some time when you have a bunch of younger guys that are only in their second year, and they got to come together and build that camaraderie and get the proper techniques and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and work some quirks out and things like that to get things in order with themselves, and figure out how they all play well together, and what's one person's strength and what's one person's weaknesses, so they can help each other out. So I think this was a good start with this first game, just to kind of see them all come out, um, have a new fresh season. A lot of younger players, got a couple veterans to kind of help mold some of those younger guys, so that way they can be the veterans when the time comes later on down the years in the road for the new teams and the new generation to come in. So I think it was great to kind of see them come together and play how they did yesterday. It was a very they started off slow, but they picked up the pace as the innings went on. So it was definitely a really good game.
Yeah. They got 3 more against the Marlins and then 3 against the Nationals before the home opener which will be next Friday, which will be fun. I'm going there. It'll be fun to watch how the Buckeyes look at home.
Yeah.
But look into these games. One of the oddities of this early season, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, was they're facing 5 straight lefties to start the season, 4 from the
Yeah.
Marlins and then 1 from the Nationals. You just hardly ever see that, and it kind of sucks for a guy like Jack Sawinski, who
Hmm.
usually gets up there and he'd have he's a good pop, good bat in the lineup, but
Yeah.
against these lefties, it looks like they're going to be sitting him. I saw the lineup for today. He's sitting again. So he's one of the guys where you're expecting 30 home runs in like the best case scenario from him, and he's not even starting the first 2 games of the year.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just something that they see and that they've
It's
seen over the
it's a
years.
lefty it's lefty pitchers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
okay.
struggled against lefty pitchers forever, but usually you don't see 5 straight lefties at any
Yeah.
point in the season, let alone to start
Yeah.
the season. So it really is an oddity that very unique to the situation they're in now. The Marlins alone having 4 lefty starters, a lot of that, not a
Wow.
lot of it, part of that is due to injuries that they've
Yeah.
suffered so far, but you hardly ever see 4 lefties in a rotation. Yeah,
Yeah.
max out maybe at a two lefties if you're lucky,
Yeah.
3, but it's very unique and weird thing going on there. But I guess next I wanted to talk about how Vegas sees the Pirates this year.
Okay.
For the NL Central, they have them at plus 1,300, which is last place in the
Mm.
division. So looking from that standpoint,
There you go.
I don't think they'll end up in the basement of this division. I don't think there's any great team in there. I don't know if I'll be the one to put money on the Pirates to win this division, but
Yeah.
last place I think's not going to be where the Pirates end up this year. I think they're going to have improvement over the 76 wins, get close to 500, maybe a little over, and stay in the race the whole way through. How
Yeah.
you feeling about it?
They have a very long season. I know that the Pirates have not, done well over the years, and I'm always rooting for the underdog. Um, 1,300 plus 1,300. I mean, I guess maybe they're just basing that off of the years that they've seen with the Pirates. But again, it's only game 1. But if the Pirates can play over 50% of their games how they played yesterday, if they can, do that, at least out of the series, 2 out of 3 games or 2 out of 4 games that they play in a series with a team, I really think that they could bounce up and be a little bit higher, like you said, in the division. They looked really good yesterday. Of course, they're all fresh. It's the beginning of the season, They have a lot of stuff they got to work out and get things in order for themselves. They have their own strategies, and the coaching, have their own plans of what they want to do. But I think if they could play how they did yesterday, for 50, 60, 70% of the season, I mean, they can definitely they can definitely be in the middle, closer to the higher end of their division, and even get a wild card spot, or even if even a playoff spot if need be, come playoff time. So I think it's going to be slow. It's a slow start. Everybody's not rooting for them, but I think they can pull it off. I think they have a decent chance after just seeing one game. I mean, I know it's too early to say something, but I like what I saw, and I think that they can pull something off this season.
Yeah, this is the same for any team, but I think the key for them is to avoid long stretches of losing. The biggest worry for me is the pitching staff, the starting rotation in particular. They could set them up to be in stretches where everyone in that rotation has bad starts, and you're looking at a 5-game losing streak, and then you get some unlucky things that turns into a 10-game. I think that's the thing that's going to really hurt this team. If they end up having a bad year, it's going to be the stretches where the starting pitching just doesn't perform well. I kind of glossed over Mitch Keller. He's supposed to be the ace of the staff. 5 2/3, 4 earned, 5 runs total. That's a lot more like how he played in the second half of last season instead of the first half. He ended up being an all-star. In the first half of last year, he was amazing. He was one of the better pitchers in the league. Ended up with over 200 strikeouts in total. But the second half of the season, he had a lot of starts like similar to this where he was going 5 innings. He's on a stretch where right now I think over 30 straight starts where he's pitched 5 innings, which is impressive to do. It's not something you see a lot of pitchers do. And then, but he's starting to give up runs an alarming rate. It's still one game this year, so I'm not going to panic. But he just signed a new deal, 5 years, $70 million plus. So we need him to be at the top of this rotation and perform well.
Yeah, hopefully, with the veterans on the team, they'll help, boost some of the confidence of the younger guys, and somebody will stand up. If it's not the veterans, some of the younger guys will actually stand up and actually be key playmakers this season for that team. So I'm looking forward to, the rest of the season for these guys. But I'm excited. We got not a home opening, but a MLB opening day win, and I'm hoping to see a lot more wins throughout the season.
Yeah, and then that was the NL Central odds. NL in general, the National League in general, to make it to the World Series, they're at plus 7,000, and to win the World Series, they're plus 15,000. That 7,000 is third worst out of 15 teams, and that 15,000 is fifth worst out of 30 teams. They're not going to be at the bottom of the National League or the league as a whole, in my opinion. I think it's much more likely to see them in a wild card hunt than for them to finish bottom 5 in the league. So I was surprised. I just looked those up recently that they were so low on both the National League odds and the World Series odds. Because I think they're going to be in the wild card race at least. Maybe it'll end up being in the division race because the division will have a worse record than the wild card winners. But third worst in the NL Central just seems crazy to me. I don't know how much you've been looking around the league or anything, but that just doesn't seem like reality in my eyes.
Yeah, I don't see that either. Again, it just seems like a lot of the people that do the betting and how they foresee some of these teams, I think they just have low expectations. And I think, after, so many years of not doing well, it's always good for a team to change their strategy. And I don't think that, whoever, makes these odds and stuff, I understand that, they get paid the big bucks, so they know what they're doing and know what they're talking about. But also, I don't think that you can just continue to think that a team or an individual is not going to be that well of a player or a team as well. I mean, I think after, hard times like the Pirates have had over the years, I think that, this is a time for them to rebuild and restructure their season and restructure their team. And I think that they're not going to be as low as the odds have them. I think I am in agreement with you. I think that they will get at least a wild card spot, if not have a fight for that NL division race. So I do foresee them actually doing something this year for sure.
Mm-hmm. So I went and searched. I went on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, and just put in Pirates bold predictions to see if I could find anyone. So I'm going to just scroll through some different tweets here and give you some people's opinions, and then maybe we'll talk about it. The first one on here that I found is from Nathan J. Hirsch, who has Oneil Cruz hits 40-plus home runs.
Wow.
40 home runs is a lot of home runs. Oneil Cruz got a home run on opening day. He has amazing power. He has 40 home run power, but can he get enough contact? Can he get enough health? Can he play enough games this year? He only got to play 9 games before he broke his ankle last year. So this one here is an interesting one. 40 home runs. I'll take the under, but I still expect at least 30. That's my go on there. What do you think on the first thing? He's the guy who hit the home run in the 8th inning, the opposite field homer.
Yeah. I'll take the under. He's the guy, the 6'7" guy, right? The
he's the big guy, shortstop. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could be the MVP of the team, but I don't think he's going to hit over 40. I'm going to take the under with you as well. I think that just by seeing him, he looks like he's a very talented player. I think that he's going to contribute to a lot to the team with a lot of RBIs and bringing in a bunch of home runs and things like that. I don't think it's going to be 40 or over, but I think he's going to be a huge contribution to the team. I think he may be the MVP of the Pirates. That's going to be my MVP prediction for the Pirates this season.
O'Neal Cruz, yeah. Then
Yeah.
I'll go there. Since we're all talking MVP, I'm gonna go keep Brian Hayes. I think that defensively, he's the best in the league, and I think that his offense is. I think the last 2 years or 2 months of last year were real. He's shown in spring training that it's continued. He's killing the ball right now. He had a couple hits yesterday, I believe, too. I know he was on base a couple times at least, and that'll be my MVP for the Pirates this year. That'll be, and then I guess we can kind of go into this next one combines. We can talk Cy Young for the Pirates. That's the best pitcher or so. But D Gould 157. D Golden goes, Jared Jones is our best pitcher this year, which says something positive about him and something negative about Keller. He will stall as a 4.0-ish ERA pitcher. And then someone else wrote Jones finishes top 3 in Rookie of the Year. So let's go the positive on that first, which is Jared Jones. He's a 22-year-old pitcher. Surprisingly, made the opening day roster. Something that we talked about a little bit, I think, a couple weeks ago when we had the old roundtable. Maybe it was the week, and then made the roster, which was surprising to me, but nice to see. He throws 99 miles an hour. He's got a great slider. It'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the league. Throughout the minor leagues, no one's really been able to hit him. He had control issues early on, but those seem to go away too. So I think it is very possible he could be the best pitcher this year. I would be surprised. I think it will be Mitch or it'll be Paul Skeens. Either one of those guys. Skeens can come up and everything you think I just said about Jared Jones is like multiplied for Paul Skeens. He's got a 101 mile per hour fastball. He has a wipeout slider. He's the best starting pitcher prospect in the league right now. He's MLB.com. I think had him at 3 at the moment. He's everyone's top pitching prospect. He's starting in AAA. He should have a good year. But what are your thoughts on the Cy Young of the year for the Pirates after I went through some of that? We also have Bednar, the closer. We have Chapman and a nice relief pitcher too, to give you some other names to think about.
Okay. If what you just said about him and like his, how he is being perceived already, with being in the league now, it's a possibility he could get there. Let's hope that he has a good season. If he is the number 1 prospect that everybody's talking about, hey, I'm all for it. I'm ready to see him come out and show the league like, hey, I'm the new guy here, and I'm ready to take over the league and be the best pitcher. I want to see it happen. If he can step up, being 22 and to be the guy to come out and, get a bunch of strikeouts, make a bunch of plays, when they're out on the field. I mean, I'm all for it. I think he could actually do it. If he's that good of a prospect, I think he can do it. I'm ready to see it happen.
Yeah, so Paul Skeens is the guy who's ranked number 3, the top prospect in pitching prospect. He's going to be in AAA probably at least until the middle of April, maybe into May or June. Some projections say June. Some people are hoping it'll be 15 days before, and then he'll be up here. But it'll be interesting to see him. I'll give my Cy Young to Mitch Keller. I think he's going to figure this out. He had a rough start, but I think he's going to find his way. His pitches were down a little bit, I think, speed-wise, to start the year, but it's April. Who cares? Or no, it's not April. It's March. It's not April.
Yeah.
We're not even into April yet. But yeah, I'll go Cy Young for Mitch of the names that we have in front of us right now. Next, let me scroll through here and find another one here. Someone says the Pirates will flourish in the final 70 games, going 42-28 over that span to win the NL Central. So this guy this is David Pegram. So that'll be interesting to see. Last year, of course, they started the year 20-8, and then they collapsed for the next 2 months or so. I don't have the exact number. I know the month of May they were like 9-19 or something crazy like that. But they finished the year, the last few months, I think like 32-29, somewhere around there, 3 games above. So they had a stretch in between where they were miserable. But
Yeah.
they started the year good and were decent the second or the last 2 months or so of the season. But let's focus on the NL Central a little bit and the fact that how many wins I think that it'll take to win the division. I'll go with 86 wins, which would not be a lot. Like, usually your division winners are going to be like 90 plus wins, maybe in tougher divisions it's going to be like 95, and then like you're going to have your teams that are going to win 100 games every year. So either the Dodgers or Braves will win 100 games this year, maybe both.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I think 86 wins is the number they need to get to win this division. What are you thinking? What are your hopes on the number of wins it'll take out of 162 total games?
Yeah, I'm gonna push more towards that 90. I think it's gonna
Yeah, you
be a
think it'll
little
take
bit
90?
tougher. And I think that with those number of games, I think they're going to have to win at least 90 to win the division.
Take it. Yeah.
Gotta hope that like you talked about earlier, that they don't hit any losing streaks throughout the season. You can have a loss here, have a loss there, maybe 2 in a row, but let's not, push it to 5, 10, 15, whatever. Yeah. Let's not push it to that. Let's get some consistency and get some good wins, and let's see a 90-win season for the Pirates this year.
So yeah, we'll wrap up the Pirates there. Let's move on to a couple moves made by the Steelers this week. The first one, I'll just name all four. The one that's most interesting to me is the Cordero Patterson move. We just saw the kick return rules change dramatically. He's one of the greatest kick returners of all time. He was with Atlanta most recently, right? I'm pretty sure he was in Atlanta.
Yeah. I believe it's Atlanta, yeah.
And that means that he's crossed paths with Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers here. So what are your thoughts on Cordero and the move to bring him in to be a kick returner?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. Over the past couple of years, the Steelers really haven't had much of any type of spark when it comes to kick return or punt return. And, I know that he's probably getting up there a little bit in age, but again, like you just said, he's still one of the better returners of all times, and I'm excited to see him come in to kind of maybe bring a spark to the special team like that. Maybe get a punt return or a couple kick returns, this season. It'll be exciting to see, and maybe use him on some gadget plays or something on the offense, as well, and see what they can, use him for there. But so I'm excited, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be interesting to see him out there. Curious how they're gonna use him besides kick and punt return. But I'm ready to see a little bit of change. With the Steelers. I'm glad that they've been doing all these moves. It's exciting. So I'm ready for the season.
So have you got to look at the new kickoffs and all that? The change they made recently that put in the rules?
I have not. No, I have not. No.
So they stole this from the XFL actually. The kickoff team is going to be much closer to the kick return team. They're all going to be lined up about 10 yards apart once the ball is kicked, and then it has to drop into like a 20-yard landing zone between the 0 and 20-yard line. And once it's catched, the players will then engage with each other, and the return will start like that. Supposedly, that's going to help safety, because you're not going to have those gunners just running down and exploding into guys and all that. That's the point of it. But it'll be interesting. I don't know if you got to watch any XFL to see how it works and everything. But
if you could look, how it is. Yeah.
And if anyone else out there is watching and is curious, you can probably just Google XFL or YouTube XFL kickoff to just check it out. They're interesting. It is a change. I think it'll lead to less kick returns, but kick return touchdowns. But I think it will also lead to fewer touchbacks. I think there'll be fewer touchbacks. I think there'll be a little more action than people expect. A lot of people are seeing this as a negative. I think it's a positive. But it should be fun. The next move they made was for an interior defensive lineman, Dean Lowry. He was with Minnesota last year. I'm not going to pretend I know a lot. I think he's just a depth guy. It'll be Fun to see if he gets some playing time for the Steelers, but it does help fill a hole. You don't have to waste a late round pick on an interior lineman if you don't have anyone you like. I think these are just moves you got to make.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Next up, Kyle Allen, quarterback. He's gonna come in here and be a backup. I wonder how this will affect the draft if they're gonna still draft a guy in early rounds. You got Fields, so maybe you're thinking that's your young guy now. You don't need to draft someone in the early rounds. I know Michael Penix apparently had a interview with the team. He's a guy who's probably going to go in the first 2-3 rounds of the draft. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think of Kyle Allen getting signed and how it affects everything else?
I think it's more of just depth. I think they're filling a spot that needed to be filled, and I think that they're probably looking at Russell Wilson as, maybe the guy for a couple of years, but maybe Justin Fields is the guy long term later on down the road. I think that I don't think that they may draft somebody, but I doubt it at this point. I think that they got their guy, Justin Fields. They got a young quarterback, and I think that they're going to look at Russell for a couple of years and just move on with Justin Fields in a couple of years as the guy to move forward after Russell Wilson is retired.
I don't have the details on the exact contract for Kyle Allen, but last year he was making like $1.3 million. So if you do have someone late in the draft that you like, you're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks on your roster, but you can sign him and hope to keep him on the practice squad if he's good enough. And you have to cut Allen. You can do that. It's not a big deal. I don't think it's $1 million. It's not going to be anything that will really affect them, I don't think. And then the final piece from the moves in the last week or so is Quez Watkins, receiver they picked up. Was with the Eagles. He's a guy. He's never had a great season. He's had a couple games where he's gone close to 100 yards, but for the most part, he's been more of a guy who gets you 1-2 catches a game, nothing more really. But they need depth. They need receivers. I don't know if this fixes anything really. I guess it can fix something, but I still think they need to draft a guy. And then I think they could still try to find someone else, some kind of veteran to bring in too.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Steelers, again, we've talked about this in the past. When it comes to drafting wide receivers, the Steelers are one of the best. So I think they'll get a good guy or two in the draft and fill up any other spots that they need to get. But I think they've done fantastic this offseason. I saw somewhere where they were grading a lot of the teams, and they graded the Steelers at a C- this offseason, which I thought was a little just, absurd to actually do, because they've actually made some moves and done some things that we've never seen in at least our lifetime. And they've actually done some stuff. And Omar Khan is really trying to let the league know and let the team know and let the fans know that, he wants to win now. And the fact that, they graded them at a C- this offseason, I just kind of think that's a little low. I think they actually made some moves that they needed to make and, picked up some players and, of course, picked up the depth that they needed. But I thought it was at least maybe a B+, A- for them. That's my grade for them, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're looking at it in a negative light to get to that C-, I guess you could say you don't trust Russell Wilson to be a starter anymore in the league, and then you don't believe in Fields as being the answer. You might be a guy who likes Deontay Johnson. They traded him away for a cornerback. Maybe that's one of the problems whoever had that grade had. I'm trying to think. There's no downside to the Patrick Queen move, and that alone I think gets you to a B-, right? Just you take everything out of the equation. I think he gives you a B- there, and then there's been other interesting moves that they've made. I kind of agree with you that that is too low, the C-. I don't know if I'm going to go to A yet. A lot of it will depend on the draft. I think as these moves have been made, I think it's becoming obvious that the first round pick is going to be an offensive lineman if they had their way. I mean, obviously you can't control the board of everyone else, so maybe the guys you like are gone, or maybe someone you
Yeah.
thought would never be there at their pick is there at a position that maybe not as a position of need, but you got to take best
Yeah.
available if it's that good.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
my guess is we're going to see either a center or a tackle drafted in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. That's definitely where they need to go right now. Offensive line is probably the key. You know, of course, wide receiver. You know, but I think those are the two big ones they need. But offensive line is the first that they need.
Yeah. So when is the draft? I'm not even paying it. It's got to be coming.
It's got to be
what
coming
day
soon.
we got here? Late April, I assume.
Be
Let's
coming
get
soon.
the exact date on it.
Yeah.
It is do. Everyone that's watching, everyone that's looking out for this content already knows this. I don't know where I'm going, but it starts Thursday, April 25th, and then it ends Saturday, April 27th. So about a month away, a little less than a month away.
Yeah. Ready to see how it goes. Yeah. Real quick, do we have any info on the other assistant coach they picked up?
Oh, I don't know much about him. I know you said it to me. I don't remember his first name. Of course, I remember his last name because I'm a piece of shit. There we go. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be playing a big role, right?
But it's just the fact that they've added more, coaching staff.
Yeah,
more
to the staff.
It's just interesting.
Defensive coaching staff. Here we go. I'm finding them. Scrolling through. Anthony Midget is being assistant secondary coach. Was hired this week. Was that on March 20th? So it was a little bit over a week ago. But yeah, Anthony Midget was hired as an assistant secondary coach.
Yeah.
But I guess that'll be how we end this episode.
That's it.
The coaching staff. It was a good week, Lee. Let's hope the Steelers can get some more wins, or the Pirates can get more wins. Steelers get more transactions going, and then we'll talk next week.
Sounds good. Have a happy Easter, everyone, and yourself, Jim. Yeah. I'll see you.
Happy Easter.